What wouldn't be nearly as popular if it wasn't for the US? Spam in Northeast Asia. Especially South Korea. American soldiers ate it during the Korea War and it gained popularity to the point that it's a common food for both Koreans, Japanese, and some Chinese cultures such as Shanghainese. Coca-Cola. Fender guitars. Propane and propane accessories. Using inch to measure TV size. Red Solo cups. Blue jeans. Hip-hop. Hollywood. Proms. In other countries some schools host proms just because they see it on TV. Peanut butter. The blues. GPS. The American military gave away one of the coolest technologies to the world. No service fees. No subscriptions. Imagine if Meta or Apple had invented it. Competition barbecue, also weight loss products. National parks. It was started in America by future Republican President Theodore Roosevelt and quickly it became a worldwide practice. Halloween. Reddit. Americans make up approximately 50% of the user base. McDonald's. Superheroes and their movies. Various music forms including hip-hop, rap, R&B, and pop. Americana travels, edit, spelling. Unix. Jeans. I think most people here are missing the mark. Many mass-produced items, especially foods, wouldn't exist or be popular without the US. Coke, ketchup, chewing gum, burgers, and then there's the massive cultural influence with rock and jazz. Western movies. A lot of consumer tech goods like the personal computer, etc. Japan. It's highly influenced by post-war American reforms and culture, so it would be wildly different without the US. An American poet, Ezra Pound, is responsible for how Westerners translate Japanese, which in turn affected the country proper. The literal translations are very dull. He gave translations of Japanese their current form. Christmas lights strung outside of the houses. Hamburgers. With pickles, mustard, etc. It's a strange combo. Delicious, but I doubt the entire world would have that as a common item. Disneyland. Google. Grunge music. The word okay. TikTok is a Chinese app that became popular in the US and then spread through the rest of the world. Personal computers. Red party cups. Halloween. I am from India, which has no connection whatsoever to Halloween. And yet due to US media consumption, Halloween has become a thing here. Apple products. Baseball or American football. Honestly, a lot of stuff. American culture has become so widely accepted and ingrained in the zeitgeist of other nations that many people no longer even identify American cultural paradigms as distinct from their own. Things like jazz, burgers, hip-hop, basketball and rock and roll can now be found the world over. Hell, even some things that didn't even originate in America are identified more with their American version than they are with their original format. When most people picture Halloween, they're thinking of the version of it that they've seen in American TV shows and movies. Most places you go in the world, if you mention pizza, people are gonna think about the thick crust style that Italian Americans created in Lower Manhattan, not the Neapolitan original served with a knife and fork. American culture is everywhere, and it has been for so long at this point that people often don't even see it anymore. Motor car. Henry Ford and the assembly line boomed production of the car. Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories. You're welcome. World Power Grid. Jazz music. Gender reveal parties. See almost very coding language and compiler is based on it, Python, Java, JS, Linux, Mac OS, Windows, SQL, Blender, Unreal Engine, Unity, Doom Engine. I mean the list can go on forever. RuneScape was almost entirely written in C. Imagine what a hell that must have been. A flag on the moon, cool. I scrolled for a while without seeing it. Fast food. Lol. Hating on the US. Cinco de Mayo. Ranch dressing. Tobacco, it came from the area now the US, but before the original colonies were set up it was an occasional drug used by the tribes as it was not cultivated. When the colonies were set up it started to be grown commercially. The varieties became much more nicotine-rich and addictive too. Then after independence of the US it became a major cash crop that the new country depended on. Without the US, it is plausible it would never have reached the level of global addition it got to in the 20th century. And still remains high in the 21st despite concerted efforts to reduce demand for health reasons. The Irish. Since we emigrated in the 1800s, all of the big American celebrities say, "I've got Irish roots," and it's attracted attention to that little green island that isn't part of England. Particularly the west coast of Ireland. Halloween, shitty cheap fast food and jackass. Cars. Sure, they were invented in Germany. But they were extremely expensive until assembly lines became a thing. If I'm wrong, please, as always, correct me. Marvel Comics. Now I know that sitcoms aren't inherent to the US and that some of the best examples come from all over. That said, the popularity of the TV sitcom has American roots. Basketball. I'd say cars. Yes, cars were being invented and stuff at the same time in other countries. But the mass production and building cities for the car really took off in the US and other countries adopted the style. BTW, I hate cities built around cars. I want my walking, biking paths. Mixed-use development and buses, trains, trams back please. Mass-produced automobiles.